Some massive midweek fixtures in the Championship, and Sunderland go to the top of the table. There's been some big clashes as well between Luton and Oxford. We're going to look through a range of different fixtures in the Sky Bet Championship in this video. If that's something you want to stay tuned for, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, as well as smashing that like button for brand new audiences. As you know, on this channel, we've gone through previews and reviews of a majority of the games this season. This video is going to be no different. We're going to start off at the Stadium of Light. Here we have it then. Derby County travelled up to the Stadium of Light, or down, whatever. And it was a very, very disappointing display by Derby County. I think they were very lacklustre against a team which obviously are one of the best teams in the division. And Bellingham popped up after picking the ball up from about 30 yards out, took a couple of touches and banged one in the top left-hand corner, I think. It was a really, really good strike by Bellingham. Isidore was the lucky benefactor of some really good play from Sunderland, with a really nice ball put into the box, and Cashin and Osborne just couldn't quite deal with it. Now, when we talk about this game, we have to acknowledge the difference in quality between both sides. 51% possession to 49 doesn't really shock me, in my opinion. I think Sunderland are one of those teams who they give up a lot of possession, because if you look at, I think their average per possession per game is something like 44.5% within the division. I think they rank in the 20s for that as well. Derby County are another team who like to give up possession, and obviously 49% for them tonight. It's one of those where Derby County had opportunities in both halves to score goals, and they just weren't clinical enough. You look at the XG from both sides, 1.0 to 0.95. 9 shots for Sunderland, 13 for Derby, one big chance apiece. And if we do just go over to look at their lineups, you can look at the differing quality. Now, I do just have to say there is a massive difference in quality between these two sides, and age ranges and things like that. But Derby County did not play a 4-3-3. We played a 3-4-3. Osborne played a left wing back, and then the front three was Yates, Chia and Harness, Adams and Holdmine in the middle, with Wilson on the right, back three of Phillips, Cashin and Nelson. Now, you look at both of these two sides, and obviously you've got Isidore, you've got Mundell, you've got Roberts, Rigg, Neal, Bellingham, Sirkin, Mepham, really, really good players. Patterson, I think he's had interest from Manchester United as in recent times, and it's one of them for me. You even go and look at the players coming off the bench for both sides. Obviously, Paveda, Alan Brown, Tom Watson's a really good youngster, and obviously Derby County bring on experience in Forsyth and Mendes Lang and Caden Jackson, and then talent in Niambi and Blackett Taylor. But the difference in quality between both sides, was there to be seen last night. And I think the big question marks for Derby County was, when you get an opportunity, you've got to be able to take it. And last night we didn't. Chiwa had a good opportunity, and realistically, it's probably one of the only ones I remember. There was a couple of set pieces which Derby County probably could have done a little bit better from. Now, obviously, as I'm recording this, all the games haven't been played. Sheffield United, Watford, Swansea still have to be played. But Sunderland go to the top of the table with a victory. 1 point clear of Burnley. West Brom took a defeat. And I think if we look at the bigger statistics, most of Derby County's opportunities were in the box. And I think what we have to acknowledge is it's mainly set plays. Mainly headers from set plays and things like that. Forsyth had a really good opportunity. I think Phillips had a good opportunity. Cashin as well from a set piece, but just weren't able to finish their dinner. And Sunderland were just really good, in my opinion. I don't think there's much you can take away from this one, apart from the fact that Sunderland are well worthy leaders, in my opinion. As a Derby County fan, I think they were well worth the 3 points last night. And it's disappointing to say, but we move to the next one. Now, Hull City have been on a little bit of a flyer recently. I think this is their third win in a row. A 3-1 victory over QPR. They went 2-0 up after 36 minutes. Drama and Badia picking up the 2 goals within 11 minutes of each other, before a 44th minute pen for Madden put it at 2-1. Miller rounded out the scoring after 71 minutes. Now, we're looking into this one because I think it's a really interesting one, because QPR, obviously the penalty, you take off 0.7 something XG, puts them around the same age range. It looks like a very, very close performance. 47% to 53, 2.41 to 1.71, 21 shots to 15, 3 big chances to 2. And you look at the two sides, and I think this QPR side is really good. I think Dembele's a really good play. Obviously, Fry, Sayoto on that left-hand side as well. I think some really good players in this QPR team. And Hull City have really found another gear in recent weeks, and the front three have been in excellent form. Obviously, you look at the back four as well for this one, a really, really good performance for them. And if we do look at the league table, obviously, this is subject to change. We'll look at it again at the end of the video when all the fixtures have been completed, but it's 3 wins in a row now for Hull City. They're just 2 points away from the playoffs. QPR are now off back-to-back defeats and no win in 4. Good opportunity for Derby County at the weekend to go and take all 3 points. Now, if we look at the stats on a bigger basis, you look at the shot areas for QPR. There's an abundance on the edge, as there is for Hull City as well, but there's some really, really good opportunities in there. You look at the XG from open play, it's 1.3 to 1.32 each. Non-penalty XG is 1.62 to 1.72. So as I said, it's a really, really close game, a really, really close performance from these two sides. And I think what we will see over the course of this season is teams like QPR, teams like Hull City having ups and downs because they don't have the strength in depth of those top teams. And I think so far that's what we're seeing. Obviously, QPR haven't had the greatest start to the season. I think they've only won 1 game, maybe 2. Let's just check that on the league table. I think it's, just 1 game in this championship season, 4 draws and 3 defeats. And I do think QPR will get better. I do think they've got a really good squad and a really good manager, but they're just not quite at the races yet. And obviously, it is only round 8. There's a lot of football still to be played, and I do think QPR can come back into this. Hull City, they've been excellent in recent weeks, and I think it's really hard not to talk about them. I think they've done a really, really good job getting themselves into that position where they are just a game away from the playoffs, with all due respect to everybody around them. And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about potential changes being made there and how some Hull fans will probably be wishing that they kept Liam Rosenior. But after big changes during the summer, they've finally found their feet. Luton Town and Oxford United went head-to-head, and it was a very Luton Town-esque game, in my opinion. I think I've spoke about it a few times this season, with Luton Town getting themselves in really, really good positions and not being able to close out. And they put themselves 2-0 up after 37 minutes with Clark and Cruz picking up the 2 goals. You've then got Oxford United fighting back. After half-time, 45 minutes for Goodrum. I think that one came just before half-time. And then 54 minutes for Rodriguez to make it 2-2. And then you've got Welsh, who came on the pitch and sort of ruined any chance of Luton Town getting all 3 points when he picked up that red card just a minute after coming onto the pitch. Now, I don't think it was necessarily a red card tackle. It was naughty, it was very naughty, but I've seen tackles like that not even get given as fouls. So for me, I think it's a conversation starter, let's say. So obviously, Luton Town come away with a point, Oxford come away with a point, and I think if you look at the grand scheme of things, I think Oxford were well deserving of the point and probably deserved a little bit more. 40% possession to 60, 1.24 XG to 1.73, 12 shots to 19, 2 big chances for Luton to 5. And I think when you look at the lineups, I think there's obviously a massive difference in quality here. Luton Town are by far, in my opinion, the better team, but over the course of the last few weeks, Luton Town have been very, very disappointing, in my opinion. You look at, obviously, this Oxford team, which is pretty much still their League One team. Obviously, Kioso's come in, Nelson's come in, Volks has come in, Missouri's come in. There's probably a couple more that I'm missing out, but it's a very different team. And obviously, you've got Edwards, Dembele, Scarlett have all come in as well. But you look at the players coming off the bench, Mpanzu, Walters, Corley Woodrow. You've obviously got Joe Taylor sitting there on the bench. And you look at the players that aren't being used by Oxford: Louis Sibley, Malcolm Ebioi, Will Goodwin. Really, really good players, in my opinion. So it's a really good result for Oxford United. I think Obviously, we've got the caveat of some teams still haven't played yet, but they're currently sitting in 12th position, just a couple of points ahead of Derby. You've got Luton Town sitting in 18th, and they've only picked up 2 wins in 8 games this season. There's obviously plenty of time to turn it around, but obviously we look at the numbers behind the fixture so far, and both teams are sort of taking some pop shots in these areas, and obviously some really good opportunities as well in there. And it's one of those for me where I think Luton Town have got to get better. They can't be dropping results like this, especially when you go 2-0 up after 37 minutes. You just can't drop those games. Disappointing for Luton Town. I'm sure Rob Edwards will be absolutely devastated, but shall we see what happens in the next one? I've been on about Coventry City in recent weeks, and I think they've been very poor. But this is an absolutely brilliant performance, an absolutely brilliant result from Coventry City as they thrash Blackburn 3-0. Bidwell, Wright and Thomas Asante picking up the goals in the 11th, 48th and 84th minute in a brilliant display at the Coventry Building Society Arena. We look at the numbers behind the game. It's 46% possession to 54, 1.13 XG to 0.47, 18 shots to 10, 2 big chances to 0. And I think when you look at this performance from Mark Robbins' Coventry City side, I think you have to give a bunch of praise to Rudani in midfield and Bidwell at left back. I think they put in excellent displays in this one, and obviously Thomas Asante came in for a fairly decent fee this summer and picking up another goal here today. It's a really good opportunity for the Coventry City side to really turn stuff around. They've been in a bit of indifferent form to start off this campaign, but this 3 points is absolutely massive. I think you can't discount the quality that this Blackburn Rovers side has. Obviously Dolan, Vyman, Cantwell, really, really good players. Travis as well in there. You look at the players coming off the bench, you've got Baker, Buckley, Hedges, Kaiser Dobry, really, really good players. And obviously you've got Ellis Sims, Laboutier and Mason Clark coming off the bench as well. And you still have some big names that couldn't even get on the pitch. And if we look at the league table, Blackburn Rovers with that defeat slipped down to 5th position. Coventry City get themselves up to 16th. As you can see, 3 wins and a draw before this one. It's their 2nd win of the season. Hopefully they can find some form now. If we look a little bit more in detail at the numbers, both teams having a wide range of opportunities. Coventry City, all 3 goals coming from inside the box, which is obviously a really, really good thing for them. Dominating in most categories, and that's just one of the things which you see from Coventry City across the course of a season when they do finally get going. I think something which obviously has to be spoke about is their poor start to the campaign. Only 2 wins in 8 games is really disappointing, but they're finding their way in their last 5 matches. They're obviously not in a great position, currently sitting 20th place, but that win will certainly give them hope. Blackburn Rovers sitting 10th in the last 5, and it's going to be interesting to see how these progress over the course of the rest of the season. 2 promotion contenders went head-to-head as Leeds faced Norwich City at Carrow Road. It ended in a 1-1 draw, and a penalty for Sargent in the 15th minute and a goal from Ramazani in the 60th ends the game with a 1-1 draw. I know there's a lot of talk about referees and Norwich City over the course of the past few weeks, and am I surprised? No. The performance from the referees at the weekend, which ultimately gifted Norwich City all 3 points versus Derby County, and it appears that could have been the case for the points in this one. There's obviously been a lot of talk from Leeds United fans about a foul on Wilfred Gnonto, and it's one of those really where you just have to shut up, really. There's not a lot you can do after the fact. Now, obviously, yes, I've spoken about the Derby County decisions, but there's not a lot you can do about it. Once the game's done, it's over, and you look here, 46% to 54, 1.43 XG to 0.947 total shots to 14, 2 big chances apiece. It's an even game until you take away the penalty. Then it shows the XG would be somewhere around 0.7, I think, which still keeps it a little bit even. You look at the 2 sides as well. Really good players for both teams, and both are going to be, in my opinion, challenging for promotion out of this division. obviously you look at the likes of Nonto, Ramazani, you look at Aronson, Bogle, Rodon, really good players. You look in the Norwich team, obviously Science is incredible, Sargent's really good at this level, McLean, Nunes, really good players. And then you look at the players that they can bring on as well for both teams: Peru, Rothwell, Bamford, Geldhart, Byram, and you look at some of the players that aren't even getting on the pitch for both of these two sides. They're in a really good position, both of these two teams. Obviously Leeds United now sitting 4th, Norwich now sitting in 10th position. There's not far away are Leeds United from the top, but obviously we know the way things go in the Championship. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Really good opportunities for Leeds United, just unable to take their big chances, and they sort of dominate in most categories. Non-penalty XG 0.65 to 0.94. Disappointing display, really, for Leeds when you think about it. They'll have wanted to come away with all 3 points, especially with the opportunities that they had. And it's one of those where you just have to praise Norwich City. Now, we are going to go into the league table, so I'll be back for that in just a moment. So we've been through the fixtures of this Championship midweek set of madness, and we've seen a wide range of things happen. Sunderland are still leading the top of the table after taking victory versus Derby County. Burnley and Sheffield United also picked up wins in their games. They sit just 1 and 2 points behind the leading team. West Brom have taken their 2nd defeat in a row. That puts them down to 4th after leading the league table this weekend. Leeds United and Blackburn are next up on 15 points, taking a draw and loss respectively. Middlesbrough go back-to-back with wins. They sit on 14 points. They face up against Watford this weekend in what could be a really interesting game. Watford took a defeat though this midweek. They find themselves on 13 points. Hull City and Norwich both find themselves on 12 points, both sitting on a 3-game unbeaten run. Oxford United have drawn their 2nd game in a row. They find themselves on 11 points with Swansea, who lost their previous game. Then you've got Bristol City with 10 points, Derby County and Stoke with 9. Derby County are on the back of 3 defeats in a row as they host QPR this weekend in what's going to be a very fascinating game. Stoke City obviously won their game to put them on 9 points. It's going to be really interesting to see how things turn around for them in what was such an impressive performance versus Portsmouth this week. Millwall lost their game. Coventry found their form and picked up a really important victory versus Blackburn Rovers. Poole Argyle lose for their 3rd time in their previous 5 games. They've picked up some really good results recently. Will they pick up another? Let me know in the comments. Sheffield Wednesday and Luton both draw. They sit on 8 points, as well as Coventry, Millwall and Plymouth. You've then got Preston North End, who picked up their first win in a while in what was a very impressive performance. QPR on the back of 2 back-to-back defeats. They face Derby at Pride Park this weekend. It's going to be a very interesting one. You've also then got Pompey, who are on the back of 4 defeats out of 5. And Cardiff City have finally got their first win on the board. It was a really important win for them, and hopefully they can find their feet now in this division. We've gone through all the talking points from this week of Championship action. Make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow for the League One and Championship preview, which is going to be heading your way in the morning. So make sure you're about for that, and I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula One and Football Week.